Here's an alarming stat I just came across. 1 in 4 Americans ages 18 to 29 feel lonely all or most of the time. That not only is disturbing and alarming, but that just blows the lid off of this whole narrative we've been fed that we are living in this connected world, that we're more connected than ever. And, the obvious thing is social media is just pushing everyone apart. And it makes you feel connected because you're in contact with people, maybe people you went to high school with, and that's a big thing. I'm going to get to that in 1 second. But the reality is, everyone is just behind a computer screen, maybe texting people or looking at people's profiles, just doing stuff that is just depressing and making you feel like everyone else is doing these great things except you. Here's the reality is, they kind of are. They kind of are when people say, "Oh, they're not always on vacation. They're not always having a great time." Well, guess what? They probably are. You're behind a screen, I'm behind a screen, and they're on vacation. They're doing the big things. They're getting promotions at work. They're getting promotions at jobs. They're starting new businesses. And we're behind screens. So we need to play the part and do more with our lives instead of just being tucked behind a screen watching the world happen, watching everyone else do things, watching everyone else succeed, watch everyone else set goals and achieve goals and have families and do big things. That's what we should be doing. Okay? The thing that's so disturbing, and this is what we're being fed. Okay, like for example, this whole thing where I'm not on any of the big social media sites. I'm Facebook, all those things. I just, it's not even that I refuse to do it. It's not my thing. I don't like it. Okay, I don't like this thing. I don't like or have this need to connect with people I haven't talked to in 20 years. It doesn't mean I don't like them, or if I ran into them in the street that I wouldn't say hi to them, have a conversation. That maybe people I was friends with a long time ago that I wouldn't have a great conversation with. As I have run into people and I have great conversations with them. I mean, it's not often, but I do, and I have. But this thing where there's a reason you haven't talked to someone in 20 years, okay? It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. It means that their life went in a different direction than yours. Maybe they did some things good, some things bad. Maybe you did things good, some things bad, but your life just went in different directions. Now, if you connect back with people, and maybe you start a business or you start a new relationship or start a rekindle friendship, that's different. But just to like friend all these people and stare at their profiles is insane. It's absolutely insane. And I know people say, well, I'm not going to tell people what to do. Here, I will tell you something to do. Delete your damn Facebook pages. It's ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing. You're going on there. Okay, here's the thing. If you're doing it for business, you're doing it for work, you're doing it for connections for your job or your career, or something you're selling, something you're promoting, that's different, completely different. Okay, but if you're on there because you're on there with like old friends that you went to high school with, old people you used to work with, this is what people are doing. They're on people's profiles. They're essentially cyber stalking, okay? And then they're looking at people, and then you get jealous that people are on vacation. You're getting jealous because this person's in a relationship with this person. Why is that person with that person? Get off of there. Delete your damn Facebook account. What are you wasting your time doing? Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, okay? And, and people will say, oh, people are going to do what they want to do. That's fine. That's fine. You can do what you want to do. But don't waste your time doing that. Do something productive. You'd be so much better off. Here's something a lot of people don't do, is people don't like to open a book and pick up a book anymore. Well, guess what? That's where when you open a book and you read, you not only, you open up a whole other world, okay? Reading a book, whether it's fiction or not, it doesn't mean you have to be learning something 24/7. That's not what it means. But reading a book, even if it's a novel, I like to, I read a lot of stuff. I read, mostly business books, business biographies, but I also read a lot of I read a lot of nonfiction books. Typically, the nonfiction books I read, excuse me, the fiction books I read are Stephen King books. Those, if I'm not reading like a business book, a biography, I'm reading a Stephen King book. Those are the books I really like to read. And it doesn't, you don't get anything out of it, like aside from mild entertainment, but that's better. It's better for your mind than going and stalking someone's, looking at someone's profile on their Facebook page. And here's the thing too, in the problem is a lot of these sites, a lot of these social media, of course, actually that reminds me of one other thing too. They're ruining attention spans, and that's not good. That's not good at all. To where people can't read articles anymore. Look at magazines. Magazines, you go to, even back 10 years ago, you'd go to a bookstore or a grocery store and you'd have, racks of magazines. Those are all disappearing now. They're all disappearing. Is it because they're all online? Could be part of it. I don't think so. I don't know for sure, but I don't think so. I think people are just not reading them. I don't think people have the attention span anymore. I don't think people have the interest. Oh, I can find this stuff on Facebook. Oh, I can find this stuff online. It's not happening. I just saw an article recently that, and this is no big secret. This is no big secret that Mark Zuckerberg was talking about, and he runs Facebook and Meta, and he was talking about how they asked him if his kids are on social media, and of course he danced around the question for a while, and it's like, Steve Jobs was famous for talking about how he wouldn't let his kids use the iPad, and he wouldn't let his kids use the technology at the time. And you look at a lot of these tech CEOs, these people high up in tech, and they don't let their kids use it. We do. Now there's a big difference too, because see, for us, we're bombarded day and night. We gotta work, we gotta pay bills, you gotta get to the gym. You gotta make sure dinner's ready. You gotta get the kids here, you gotta get the kids there, drive them places. You got your spouse. You're trying to help out around the house. You're doing whatever you could. The tech CEOs, those guys have a lot of money, so we do it because you want to keep your kid entertained for a little bit, because you need that hour, where they're not screaming and crying and driving you nuts. They have help, they have assistants, they have nannies, they have help in their homes, where they don't have to worry. Well, if you don't want your kid on there, that's fine. Hire someone to take them outside. That's a problem. That's a problem. It's a problem we have. They look at us differently. They look at, I saw something. This world's crazy. I swear I don't recognize anymore. I was talking to my sensei at my karate dojo last weekend, and we were talking about things, just how it just came up, like we're leaving the dojo, and we just started talking about it, and I told him, I said, I don't even recognize the world anymore. It's so crazy to me. Everything seems so backwards. And for me, it kind of seemed like it started around like COVID. That was like once maybe it was before. At least that's like when I just started. To me, that's when it seems like everything started going backwards. Whether it was before, whether it was, I don't know. But that's, for me, that's when it all kind of turned. And I told him, I said, I just don't recognize things. Like, I think it's just all backwards to the point where I ignore a lot of things, because I'm like, it's just so crazy. It's so wacky. And I was reading something. I don't remember where I read it, but I was reading, and I don't remember what CEO it was. It was an auto CEO, an auto manufacturer CEO, and I don't remember if it was like Dodge or whatever. It was a big auto executive, and he was talking about he was talking about making cars better for people, right? For average people. Okay, he's up here, we're all down here, right? And he talked about how instead of having digital stuff in their cars, they're putting the tuners, the that you would turn up the radio. And he said, because when people are driving, when they hear a song they like, instead of hitting a button, they want to turn the dial to turn up the music. That's what these people think of us. That's what they think of us. I mean, you gotta get this in your head. This is what they think about us. So they think of us as less. They think of us almost as like just like a group, like a crowd of just nobodies. Like we're just a big group of nobodies who they're just trying to like we're dumb people. Like we're just a bunch of idiots, And that's what they think of us. You know, in my car, I've got a bunch of one of the cars I have is a Dodge Durango, and I hate it. It's a brand new car, and it's got all these functions on it that we don't need. It's got a function on it, and it's not like a souped up model. Like it's a basic model. One of the things on there, and this is a real screwed up thing, it's got a thing where if you hit one of the buttons on this steering wheel, it goes into an automatic transmission. Because it's an automatic transition. Automatic transmission. If you hit this button on the next to the radio dial on the steering wheel, it goes to a manual transmission. Why? You know how many times I was driving, especially when I first got the car, where I accidentally hit that, and then it goes into manual while I'm driving. I don't know how to drive a manual a car, and it doesn't even. I didn't buy a manual transmission. I bought an automatic transmission. So then it goes. So I had to pull multiple times. I had to pull over until I learned how to undo that when you hit that. But I'm like, why do we have that on the car? I would imagine that's an expensive thing to put on the car, to if it got damaged or anything, to repair on a car. So they're putting that stuff on the car, and they're not. But yet, and the car prices keep going up. And if you ask the average person, and I don't care what amount of money you make, because I can tell you this, I make a good amount of money. Okay, so it's not like I'm like scraping pennies. I'm like, oh, they need to make cheaper cars. I make a good amount of money. And I'm like, the cars are too damn expensive. Like, and when I say too damn expensive, not like they're $30,000, we should be paying $20,000. Cars now are routinely $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000, $90,000. And these aren't like top of the line cars. It's insane. So the average person wants a cheaper car, like an affordable car, a car that doesn't like break your damn budget. And forget about the insurance and everything else. But we want a car that doesn't break your damn budget. And they're worried about putting and they're thinking like, well, we want to put a tuner on there because they want to listen to loud music. That's what they think of us. That's what they think of us. And I know people will say, well, you don't have to buy those expensive cars. You don't have to do this. Well, yeah, you don't have to. But that's what's available. And if you want to buy something cheap, there's nothing cheap. Like as far as cars go, and I can make a whole nother hour video about that. But if you want a cheap car, well, then it's not going to be reliable. You're going to have problems with it. I bought used cars before, and it's a big pain in the ass because you get them, and then you spend more money trying to repair the damn thing, and then you can't drive it far because it breaks down. You have problems, and you're worried about driving the damn thing. It's insanity. I don't recognize the world anymore. It's insane. It's insane. I don't understand how it's sustainable. And the one thing I look at is, I was reading a book, and I talked about this before, where I was reading a book about Wayne Huizenga. He's passed away quite a few years ago. I think he passed away in like 2018. He took like 3 companies public, which especially at the time was almost like unheard of. I think he might have been the first person to do that. Now people have done it since then. But and he's best known for growing Blockbuster Video. Like he didn't start Blockbuster Video, but he bought it when it was just a few stores, and he built into what it became, and then sold it off, and made a ton of money there. But he did it with multiple companies. But I was reading a book about him, and this book was written, I think, in the I'm trying to think now, maybe early 2000s, and so it was talking about like the early 90s or something. Maybe it might have been late 80s, early 90s. It was talking about Wayne Huizenga during that time, and like the line of the book was Huizenga was dealing with high prices, high inflation, and a stalling economy. And I'm like, it's funny, you can take that line, you can put it almost at any point in time, and it describes that time period. So that's nothing new, like the up and down economy. But I think what is different is just the it seems like all the money's flowing to the top, and it's staying at the top, and the money doesn't flow freely anymore. It feels like it all goes right to the top, and it stays there. And then at the same time, prices keep getting jacked up to where I don't understand how it's sustainable. And again, people say, well, you don't have to, but you don't. Okay, well, tell me the alternative. If you got an alternative to a high priced car, you got an alternative to high priced groceries, you got an alternative to the insane insurance rates for our cars, for our houses. If you have an alternative, let me know. I'd be curious. Because, like car insurance, do you have to have car insurance? Well, no, technically you don't. But guess what? You get pulled over, you're going to get nailed. You're going to get nailed with an expensive ticket. If you get in an accident, you're going to be screwed. You can get sued up the ass. So you by law, you have to have it. So you got to do it. So if you don't have it, you can get screwed. If you have it, you get screwed because you pay these ridiculous prices. And then God forbid you use it, to get a car repair if you're in an accident or something. And then either they jack up your rates from there, or they dump you, and you can't get insurance anymore. This world's crazy. I don't recognize it anymore. I don't know what's happening.